Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm Matthew Oliver, and this is Stillwater Alchemy, the podcast, episode 3, the Mars-Uranus Conjunction in Taurus, breakdown versus breakthrough. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about this highly anticipated transit, what it means, and how you can use it to your advantage. So, let's dive in, shall we? Okay. So there's a lot that I want to talk about, and there's a lot that I could talk about. But I'm going to trust that in this current moment, the right things are going to come through. Because if you know me, I get very excited about astrology, and a transit like this that is a little bit contentious. A lot of astrologers have a lot of opinions because when we look at anything in astrology, there's kind of a checklist that astrologers will go through in terms of importance or things that are noteworthy or things to make the collective aware of. So if we're looking at a Mars-Uranus conjunction, Mars on paper is a malefic planet. This notion that Mars can bring things that are challenging or difficult more often than things that are easy and pleasurable. So Mars's domains can be conflict, aggression, anger, violence, injury, infection, illness. However, Mars can also bring that confidence, drive, purpose, what you are fighting for, victory. Often we think of these things linked to ambition or success, right? Now, Uranus is innovation, revolution, creativity. I often compare Uranus to a lightning bolt because it's completely unexpected. You cannot control it. It's very, very hard to capture lightning in a bottle, so to speak, right? But if you do, it's like, whoa, like this energy, I'm on a high. I'm doing things that no one else has done before. I'm ahead of the curve. Like this feels phenomenal. So if we're talking about Mars and Uranus together, there's many, many, many different ways it can manifest. And another reason that this specific transit is being highlighted for the year 2024 is because Mars has weak essential dignity in the sign of Taurus. Taurus, as an energy, is more methodical. It likes to move at its own pace. It doesn't like being told what to do very often. Mars in nature wants to go fast. It likes to blaze through things. And given that Taurus is an earth sign ruled by Venus, it generally doesn't like conflict or people being mad or people being frustrated. It wants to have that peace. It wants to feel safe in the body, in the home. So this is where there can be that contrast or something that might be a bit more volatile because Mars, when it feels stuck and it feels frustrated, and now here's Uranus that's completely unpredictable. It can be fireworks or it can be like dynamite. Both can be explosive, but one can be more beautiful to look at and one can be more detrimental. So with this notion as well, Mars moved into the sign of Taurus June 9th of 2024, and it's going to leave Taurus July 20th of 2024. So in that sense, we've all been dealing with this transit for a couple of weeks now, if you're listening to this episode in real time. So that's one thing to understand is that, at least for me, yes, when the transit is being activated by the exact degree, can be the climax or the apex of that energy. However, when the planets are co-present, when they're both in the same zodiac sign, we're still feeling the energy. It's still being present. It'd be like going to a villa where there are multiple wings, there's multiple rooms, but there's one person that's really loud, really obnoxious, plays their music late at night. It can affect you. You're like, ugh, like, why is this person here? They're causing a racket. They're very annoying. I wish that this person could not be in the villa, but everyone else is like, no, they're family, like, it'll be okay. And then eventually, let's say that Martian energy, their room was flooded. They're like, they have to stay with you. Like, there's no other rooms. You have an extra bed. Just let them please stay. And you're like, now not only are they irritating, loud, and annoying, now they're literally sleeping next to me and there's nowhere for me to escape. So if you were in that situation, would you just kind of try and ignore it? Would you leave? Would you try and negotiate? Would you try and understand this Martian energy more? And that's where you get to choose. Are you going to let this transit, or any transit for that matter, just go by and try to ignore it and hope for the best? Or would you rather move through it and work with it to better understand it? And it's interesting because a lot of people have been DMing me recently saying that they've got COVID, that they are having or being forced to slow down. They're being forced to reevaluate their finances, how they feel safe, their living situation. And all of this is very much linked with Taurus energy, right? Feeling safe and secure in the body, in the home, relationships, finances. All these things are very, very strong there. And it can feel that we want to move forward, that we want to succeed, that we want to get to the next level, but we're being told by the universe or within our body to slow down. And that can be a frustrating energy, right? Like frustration very much being linked to Mars when we feel like we've learned the lessons, we feel like we put in all this work, but nothing is changing. And that's where you can also look at this and say, is nothing changing or is everything changing? Let me repeat that. Is nothing changing or is everything changing? Even the notion of when you're not getting what you want, but you're so determined, you're so tenacious to not give up on your dreams, to not give up on love, to not give up on your financial goals. That is very Mars and Taurus to me, that idea of sinking your heels in and not giving up. Now, if you keep having your health be deteriorating, if nothing is shifting and you keep getting negative results and you're being asked to evolve, you're being asked to change, but you ignore those callings. Now that's a different energy. Because if that notion of digging our heels in, but we can feel like we're getting closer, we feel like we're making progress. It might not be the progress as quickly as we want it, but we know we're moving in the right direction. That's fabulous. That's amazing. That is a vibe. However, if you feel like you consistently having to deal with the shadow aspects of Mars and you're not addressing that, then that goes back to the villa analogy and saying, okay, like this person, this energy is now rooming with you. There is no running away. What is it that Mars is trying to teach you? What is it that Mars is trying to implore you to work with it or to move with it so you can understand it? And now if we move into a more of a intermediate way of understanding this transit, Mars takes 2 years to move through the zodiac. So we will always have a Mars-Uranus conjunction approximately every 2 years. So the last time that we had it was August 1st of 2022. The next time we're going to have it will be July 2nd of 2026. Where I kind of nerd out a little bit is that this is the last time we're going to have a Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus until the year 2103. So we're literally witnessing history because for many of us, unless you're a wee baby listening to this is the last time we're going to have a transit like this ever. Like, yes, we're going to have many more Mars-Uranus conjunctions in other zodiac signs, but this is the last time we're going to have it in Taurus in our lifetime, which is kind of wild to think about because we're literally experiencing something for the last time. So if you're going through a very frustrating time, a time where there's not a lot of progress, knowing that this is the last time you're going to have to go through it in this fashion, okay? So that's number one. Number two, the exact moment that we're going to be experiencing the Mars-Uranus conjunction in the year 2024 is going to be on July 15th. So the days leading up to the 15th, so the 13th, the 14th, and even the days after are going to be those tender spots. So if you are in the middle of a conflict, this is where you want to be very, very mindful to not allow those emotions to spill over or to say or do things that you're going to regret, because this is where a lot of people could be feeling a certain type of way, could be feeling more volatile, could be feeling more violent, could be feeling more antsy with their energy, with their emotions, and they don't know why, but now you know why. And that's why knowing where we came from, understanding when this transit last happened, can help us understand how to move through it. And I want to reiterate, it's not always going to be negative, depending on your own personal natal chart, depending on your own placements. There could be breakthroughs. There could be energies where you've been putting through all this Martian energy in a very strong, determined way, and now you're breaking through to the other side. It's going to change for everyone. And I also want to give some personal examples just so I can show you from an astrologer's perspective who's studied this in great detail how this is manifested. So I am a Capricorn rising, and thus Taurus rules my fifth whole sign house. The fifth house has to do with sex, sexuality, romance, creativity, passion, adventure, sport, and children. So back in 2022, I remember it was almost like I just woke up one day and had this firm resolution that I wanted to put myself out there more. I wanted to date more. I wanted to make that a priority. Now, we also get to look at the houses ruled by Aries and Scorpio because those are the houses that Mars governs. And my MC, my career angle is in the sign of Scorpio. I have many, many Scorpio placements. So I had to balance out how I was going to be moving in this realm to allow myself to feel safe, Taurus, dating and pursuing relationships while not letting down my clients, not forgoing my professional and career objectives. And for me, career is a very, very big part of my life. And of course, I wanted love. Of course, I wanted passion and romance. But throughout the entire pandemic, my career was at the forefront and it was something that just kept growing and growing and going faster and faster and faster. So it was a way of me having to slow down Mars and Taurus to recalibrate everything. And during that time in August of 2022, I was on holiday and I remember going on this really long run. I was by the water. It felt so good. And then the next day, my legs were so sore. And I'm like, of course, that makes sense. I went on this super long run and I pushed myself maybe a bit harder than I should have. And then, like, I couldn't walk. Like, there was this really intense pain on my knee to the point where like I said, like I had to Uber around everywhere. I couldn't even like it was just so interesting, like this Mars-Uranus energy of I literally can't walk. I was like icing it nonstop on holiday, which of course was frustrating. And that's showing like the injury part and just literally like Mars and Taurus, Mars being in detriment in Taurus, like you cannot move. Stay put. And what's interesting is that now in 2024, I've had these random injuries pop up and I also got sick in the later parts of June, which was that kind of Martian unexpected illness arising. Thankfully, I healed very quickly. So it was kind of like it came on fast, but then it healed quickly, which I was grateful for. But then with these injuries, I had a shoulder injury, I had a hip injury, and it was interesting because it was almost exactly similar to what happened in 2022 in the sense of I had the shoulder injury come out of nowhere. My physio said, okay, like no upper body work, but you can do legs. So I thought, okay, if I'm not going to be able to work out as intensely in my upper body, I'm going to push my lower body. I'm going to do sprint intervals. I'm going to do fasted cardio. I'm going to do all these things. And I was growing really quickly. I was like, okay, like I'm back in it. I'm hitting these personal bests every time I'm doing cardio in the morning. And then the one morning I tried to get out of my chair after doing some work on my computer and my hip was so sore. I was like, what is going on? This is actually so annoying that now I have a shoulder injury and a hip injury. However, knowing that I've worked with these Martian themes of getting excited and working out really, really hard, and then maybe my body telling me to slow down, it just further emphasizes this lesson of Mars Uranus. Like, do you need to go all out 100% in that Taurus ruled part of your chart in fitness? Or can you slow down? Be mindful with your workouts to thus allow other areas of your life to grow and expand, for other pleasures to grow and expand. That it isn't just all about Mars succeeding and winning, that we can be more Uranian with Mars themes, and that it's okay to slow down to thus speed up. Where are you being called to slow down in order to gain new insights, new healing, new expansion, and new innovative techniques on how to move through your day to day? And I do want to reiterate that it's really going to be dependent on your own individual natal chart. And some of you might have already learned these lessons. There might have been things that you've already been moving through with conflict, with passion, with drive, with injury or illness. That you're like, yep, I've been dealing with that for the past few weeks. I've already learned the lesson. just be mindful that in and around July 14th, that it's going to peak. And this can be huge on a macro level. So additional grounding would be very, very beneficial, making sure that your body feels safe. This could also be a good reminder to get some body work done, whether that be massage, Reiki, acupuncture, whatever you need, even just extra stretching. That's something as well where I would stretch. Some days I get really excited. I'm like, cool, like I'm going to do my workout and then I'm going to go here and then I have this appointment, I'm meeting with this friend. And having especially this hip injury and not being able to walk, I was like, no, no, like I'm just going to put on this old episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm just going to stretch my hips for half an hour. And it feels so much better. And again, it was interesting that this year in 2024 with these injuries, they came quickly, but then I addressed it right away and it ended quickly. So if we're going to go back to that Villa example one last time, maybe all you had to do is just ask that Martian energy. It's like, hey, it's actually really annoying when you play your music that loud and I can't sleep. Would you mind putting in your AirPods? You're like, oh yeah, of course. All you have to do is ask. Like I thought everyone loved my music. Like I get so many compliments about my music style. Like I thought everyone would enjoy it. It's not a problem. I'll just put in my AirPods. And you're like, oh, my anxiety around confrontation was the only thing holding me back from getting a positive resolve. Because remember that Uranian energy can allow these things to happen really quick, really fast. But if we are afraid of engaging with Mars and its domains, then it might be more challenging and more painful than it has to be. So please keep all these things in mind. And if anything, this is at least what helps me to process a really challenging time or a challenging transit is I'm not only learning the skills for myself, I'm learning greater empathy and understanding to relate to all humans better. That when you really go through a challenging Mars, Saturn, even Pluto transit, and you're faced to completely obliterate your ego and learn things in a completely new way, you're like, oh, I am now humbled. I am now grounded. I am now learning things in a way I've never learned before, which gives you so much understanding when people are going through really, really challenging times. When you are facing injuries and can't even walk, it's unlikely that you are going to be disregarding people who have injuries or that would need an extra hand. Because I'm sure we've all been in certain situations in our life where we maybe didn't have as much emotional tact or compassion for other people when they're going through a really challenging time. And so when we go through it ourselves, we learn many, many lessons at that time. And not just for you, like I said, for everyone involved, that you are not going to be the same person before and after a transit like this, which is phenomenal. You're going to be learning something that, if you so choose, not just benefits you, but benefits your family, your community, the entire collective. So, in that regard, the faster that you switch your mindset to engage with this type of energy, the faster everyone benefits. So, please, if you take nothing else from this, understanding when you're going through a hard transit, astrologically speaking, when you're going through a hard time in life, you're learning things that are bettering everyone. And I understand that it can be frustrating when it feels like all you're doing is learning lessons. And there can be, again, a Mars-Uranus conjunction happening in one part of your chart, but then Saturn is aspecting something else. And the South Node is going through another part of your chart. And at other times, these aspects are all working in your favor where it's expansion upon expansion upon expansion. It's all teaching you what you need to learn in the perfect time. If you have that mindset, I promise you, any transit, no matter what people are saying online, you have your own relationship, you have your own discipline, you have your own faith in how this process works and how these planets are supporting you each step of the way. So that is all I have for today. Please feel free to leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube or leave a review if you're listening on your preferred podcast app. I always appreciate the love and support, and I'm wishing you a fabulous Mars-Uranus conjunction with all the expansion, all the lessons learned, and stay blessed. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm Matthew Oliver, and this is Stillwater Alchemy, the podcast, episode. Okay.